What are the best and worst calisthenics chest exercises for muscle growth? In this video, I'll answer this question by ranking the most common calisthenics chest exercises on a tier list from S to F, S being the best and F being the worst. The criteria that I'm going to use to judge each exercise is as follows: stretch under tension, full range of motion, and a simple method of progression. Stretch under tension means that your pecs get a deep stretch after completing the eccentric, which increases the stimulus by itself. This is also what's called stretch mediated hypertrophy. Full range of motion means that your joints are able to move as far as anatomically possible. This will activate as many motor units in your pecs as possible, maximizing your muscle growth. And a simple method of progression means that it's easy to make the exercise progressively more difficult over time. If the only method of progression of an exercise is doing more reps, you'll soon move out of your target rep range and have to pick a new exercise because the current one has simply become too easy for further productive training. If an exercise ticks all of these three boxes, it's going into S tier immediately. Let's start this video off with the most common calisthenics chest exercise, the push-up. The push-up is a great chest exercise, especially for people who don't have any workout equipment because you can do it literally anywhere. It's also really easy to progressively overload by wearing a backpack that's filled with random stuff. The only problem with it is that it doesn't offer a great stretch under tension and a full range of motion because the ground is in the way. Most people could go deeper, but since the ground is in the way, they can't. And for this very reason, I'm putting the push-up in A tier. The next exercise on the list is the deep push-up. This is just an upgraded version of the regular push-up. By elevating your hands, you're able to go deeper, achieving a deeper stretch under tension and a larger range of motion. You won't be able to do as many push-ups with this technique, but if your goal is to grow your chest, that shouldn't matter. What should matter is maximizing the stimulus, which this exercise does perfectly. Just be careful to not increase the depth too rapidly. If you're used to doing push-ups on the ground, don't jump into doing maximal depth push-ups because that can result in an injury, since your body is not used to this much range of motion. Start by increasing the range of motion slightly, and as you get used to it, you can increase it even more, which can be a form of progressive overload by itself. This is currently my favorite chest exercise, and since it ticks all three boxes, I'm putting it into S tier. The next exercise on the list is the diamond push-up. This is a variation of the push-up where your hands are close together, which emphasizes more of your triceps due to increased elbow flexion. Not only that, it also barely stretches your chest and has an even shorter range of motion than the regular push-up, and for this reason, I'm putting it into C tier. The next exercise on the list is the wide push-up. This is a variation of the push-up where your hands are spread out wide apart, almost isolating your chest. The only problem with it is that since your hands are so far apart from each other, the range of motion is very small. This exercise is also kind of uncomfortable for my shoulders, so for this reason, I'm putting it into D tier. The next exercise on the list is the one-arm push-up. As the name suggests, this is a variation of the push-up where you're doing push-ups with only one arm. This is quite a difficult exercise that I can barely do a couple reps of, which is why I'm showing you my friend calisthenics doing it. He's got the cleanest form I've ever seen. But even though this exercise looks cool, it's not really suited for growing your chest. This is because as you shift your center of mass over one arm, the front delt takes over and it becomes mainly a shoulder exercise. Not only that, it's simply really awkward to do and you have to do both arms separately, which is why I'm putting this exercise in F tier. It's an amazing exercise if you want to show off how strong you are, but for building your chest, not really. The next exercise on the list is the archer push-up. This is a variation of the push-up where you keep one arm straight throughout the whole movement and do push-ups with the other, which is mostly used as a progression for the one-arm push-up. This is a much better exercise for stimulating your chest than the one-arm push-up because your center of mass is not directly over your working arm and it's much more stable. But since you need to work both arms separately for no real added benefit, I'm putting this exercise in C tier. The next exercise on the list is the typewriter push-up. This is a variation of the archer push-up where you move sideways at the bottom of the range of motion. This is an exercise that looks cool, but doesn't stimulate almost any chest growth due to a lack of concentric and eccentric contraction. Even though you're moving sideways, your chest is not doing anything because it's not lengthening and shortening. It's just staying in place to keep your body above the ground, which is why I'm putting this exercise into F tier. For further reference, any exercise that doesn't involve you moving up and down against gravity is almost exclusively pointless for muscle growth. Think of doing a bench press while standing. The next exercise on the list is the pseudo planche push-up. This is a variation of the push-up where you lean your shoulders over your hands, which is mostly used to build shoulder strength for the planche. This is because leaning forward emphasizes your shoulders more than your chest, which is why I'm putting this exercise in B tier. The next exercise on the list is the pike push-up. This is a variation of the push-up where your hands and feet are close together, making it more of an overhead pressing movement, and since overhead pressing mainly works your shoulders, I'm putting it into D tier. The next exercise on the list is the ring push-up. This is just like the deep push-up, except you're making this exercise less stable by performing it on rings, and since instability reduces your ability to produce force, I'm putting it one level below the deep push-up, in A tier. The next exercise on the list is the decline push-up. This is a variation of the push-up where your feet are elevated above your hands so that your upper body is in a decline angle, which mimics the movement pattern of the incline bench press and emphasizes your upper chest. The only problem with it is that the range of motion is limited due to your head getting in the way, which is why I'm putting it into C tier. The next exercise on the list is the deep decline push-up, which is just an upgraded version of the previously mentioned decline push-up. Here you elevate your hands above the ground so that you're able to achieve a full range of motion and get a deep stretch under tension, perfect for maximizing upper chest growth, which is why I'm putting this exercise into S tier. The next exercise on the list is the banded push-up. This is a variation of the push-up where you put a resistance band on your back to make it more challenging. The only problem with it is that the band doesn't provide the same amount of tension throughout the whole movement. It provides the most tension where it's the most stretched and the least tension where it's the least stretched. This means that this exercise slightly biases the top half of the movement instead of the bottom half, and since the bottom half is where the most chest growth happens, I'm putting this exercise in B tier. The next exercise on the list is the dip. This is an amazing all-around pushing exercise that hits your triceps, lower chest, and front delts, but it's not really suited for maximizing chest growth because the triceps and front delts are the main actors here. Your chest is only a synergist, and for this reason, I'm putting this exercise in C tier. The next exercise on the list is the chest dip. This is a variation of the dip that slightly biases the stimulus towards your chest due to more horizontal upper body positioning. It offers a full range of motion, a deep chest stretch at the bottom, and a simple method of progression with a backpack, weight vest, or weight belt, maximizing your lower chest growth, which is why I'm putting this exercise in S tier. The next exercise on the list is a straight bar dip. This is a variation of the dip that you can use if you only have access to one bar, but since it's kind of awkward to do and the bar limits your range of motion, I'm putting it in C tier. The next exercise on the list is the ring dip. This is just like the regular dip, except you're making this exercise less stable by performing it on rings, and since instability reduces your ability to produce force, I'm putting it one level below the regular dip, in D tier. And the last exercise on the list is the ring chest fly. This is the best exercise to isolate your chest, as all you're doing is horizontal shoulder abduction and adduction. It also offers a crazy stretch under tension, a full range of motion, and a simple method of progression by either lowering the rings or wearing a backpack or weight vest, which is why I'm putting this exercise in S tier. Another benefit of this exercise is that it offers the most tension where your pecs are the most stretched, which is perfect for maximizing muscle growth. If you don't have access to rings, you can also perform this exercise on the ground by sliding your hands outwards, although the range of motion will be limited by the ground, and you won't be able to take advantage of the ability to raise the rings higher or lower to adjust the difficulty. Now that we're done ranking the exercises, I want to make one thing clear. This topic is highly subjective. Even though I ranked all of these exercises by how much they theoretically should stimulate your chest, it could be the case that an exercise from tier C is better for you than an exercise from tier S, so don't take this video at face value. Use it as a guide to aid you in the process of finding the best chest exercises for you. To do this, you should experiment with different exercises and determine their growth stimulus by noting how much tension you perceive in the target muscle, how much of a pump it gives you, and how sore you feel after doing it. If you really feel your chest working during a given exercise, and after doing it you get a crazy chest pump and your chest is sore for multiple days, it's obvious that it's a really good chest exercise for you. On the other hand, if during a given exercise you don't feel your chest working at all, and after doing it your chest feels just like before, you should consider altering your technique or picking a different exercise altogether. I'd recommend you to start with the exercises from tier S, as those are likely to have the highest growth stimulus, and if those feel amazing, there's no need to go further. Just stick with those for a while, and in case they become stale, you can always choose a different exercise. If you found this video helpful, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and comment down below what kind of videos you would like to see from me more. You can also check the description for the best 9 bodyweight exercises for beginners and my Instagram, where I post my workouts and lifestyle in general. And have an awesome day. Peace!